The Belarusian Olympic athlete Kristina Timanovskaya has been granted a humanitarian visa by Poland. She sought help from police at Tokyo airport on Saturday as Belarusian officials tried to force her onto a plane home after she criticized the team's coaches on social media. Wildfires in Turkey have killed 8 people and destroyed large swathes of forest in the southwest. The European Union has sent assistance and several other countries have sent firefighting aircraft in order to help. The UK government is scrapping proposals to create a so-called amber watch list of countries at risk of being downgraded to the most serious category of red because of COVID infection rates. Some travel industry figures had warned that an overly complex system might deter people from travelling. The news comes on the day the requirement for people arriving in the UK and the US and most of the European Union to self-isolate was lifted.
South Korea's defense ministry says it has made no decision about joint military exercises with the United States. In central China, media report more than 300 people died in flooding last month, mainly in Henan's capital, Zhengzhou. The number is 3 times higher than reported earlier. In Hong Kong, singer and activist Anthony Wong is arrested. Wong is accused of performing at a political gathering in 2018. And at the Tokyo Olympics, a Belarusian runner seeks asylum in Poland after saying Belarusian officials ordered her home.
Let's start with our big number here, though, we're keeping an eye on is 2,702. You know what that is? Now, that 2 is very important, 2,702. That's how many pages are in that new infrastructure bill that was just unveiled in the Senate after days of deliberation. Got a little ways to go with this thing, but a final vote is on the way. That one is moving forward. So, yes, back to the COVID news here, Dr. Ashton. The big news, you've been talking from the very beginning, you've been talking about COVID and vaccines as it relates to pregnant women, and some more big news in here now.
Really big news, and so important again, this is not a one-size-fits-all pandemic or virus, and this is a very important group of people, 4 million births in this country a year. ACOG, the American College of OBGYN, now strongly recommending that all eligible women get vaccinated. This includes women who are pregnant in any trimester and or women who are breastfeeding. Why did they finally make this sweeping recommendation? Now they have enough data, tens of thousands of women who were pregnant and received the vaccine, establishing the safety profile of these COVID-19 authorized vaccines. And because the risk is so high, pregnant women are at increased risk of hospitalization, complications, and death due to this virus.
And people certainly know you're board-certified OBGYN. What else jumps out at you now that pregnant women need to keep in mind?
Well, a lot of moving parts here. So for a woman who is pregnant and hearing this news or considering being pregnant, you don't need a pregnancy test prior to getting the COVID-19 vaccine. All 3 authorized vaccines cannot, I repeat, cannot change our DNA or cause miscarriage. So that should reassure people in terms of the risk and in terms of the benefits. There is early published data that suggests that antibodies that a woman makes after receiving the vaccine can be passed to the fetus and the baby. So good news.
Thank you, as always, Dr. Ashton.
A Belarusian sprinter of the Tokyo Games who refused to go home has been granted a humanitarian visa by Poland. The Olympian says she would face punishment for publicly criticizing the national coaching team. Kristina Timanovskaya entered the Polish embassy earlier on Monday in Tokyo. Poland's deputy foreign minister told the Reuters news agency she's at the embassy in Tokyo safe and in quite good condition.
She's planning to come to Poland in the days to come, to be here in Warsaw, and if she would only like, of course, she can continue. She's free to pursue her sporting career in Poland.
In a video message posted before she was taken to Tokyo's Haneda Airport Sunday night by her team, the sprinter appealed to the IOC for assistance.
I am asking the International Olympic Committee for help. There is pressure against me, and they are trying to get me out of the country without my permission. So I am asking the IOC to get involved in this.
The 24-year-old earlier told NHK she was worried her earlier comments would be seen as criticism of the Belarusian government. She said she was about to be forcibly sent back home. She had been due to compete on Monday. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko's violent crackdown on anti-government protesters has drawn widespread international criticism. Chinese authorities are stepping up anti-coronavirus measures during the summer tourism season as the highly transmissible Delta variant spreads across the country. Health authorities confirmed 55 new cases nationwide on Sunday, excluding asymptomatic people and those arriving from abroad. The total number of cases since July 20th has topped 350. Infections have been reported in 14 provinces. Health officials say the Delta variant, confirmed last month at the airport in Nanjing, is apparently being spread to other regions by travelers. Authorities in Beijing urged citizens on Sunday not to leave the capital unless necessary. The first community infection in about half a year was confirmed there last Wednesday. Now here in Tokyo, officials confirmed 2,195 new cases on Monday. That's 766 more than a week ago. Turning now to Thailand, where officials have extended its pandemic measures in Bangkok and high-risk provinces as the nation faces its worst outbreak so far. The Thai COVID-19 task force said on Sunday existing restrictions will be extended by 2 weeks and expanded to 29 provinces starting Tuesday. The controls include a nighttime curfew and a ban on travel between provinces first imposed in mid-July. The extension comes as the country has logged over 15,000 daily cases in the past week. On Monday, health officials reported almost 18,000 cases, and a record equaling 178 people died from the virus. The high death toll has burdened the morgue of a hospital near Bangkok. Hospital officials have begun storing bodies in refrigerated containers due to a lack of space in the building. Now, to curb the surge, the government is accelerating vaccination campaigns. Thousands of monks in the capital have been inoculated since last week as they receive daily alms and perform spiritual duties.
We can get infected just like anybody else. Monks have to take care of people in the community that we're part of.
The pace of infections is also speeding up in other Southeast Asian nations. Malaysia reported a daily record high of over 17,700 cases on Saturday. The Philippines confirmed over 8,100 cases on Monday, the fourth straight day it's seen more than 8,000 cases. The government will reimpose a strict lockdown in Manila on Friday. We start Monday's Olympic roundup on the wrestling mat, where a Cuban superstar has rewritten the record books by grabbing a gold in 4 Olympics in a row. Mijaín López Núñez competed in the men's Greco-Roman 130-kilogram category, just like he did in Rio. The 38-year-old beat Jacobi Kajaya from Georgia by 5-0. López Núñez didn't allow his opponents to score a single point in all 4 bouts in what's the sport's heaviest weight division. He said he feels happy, proud to be the best in the world, and to make history. Cuba won another gold in the 60-kilogram class, with Luis Alberto Horta Sanchez topping Japanese wrestler Fumita Kenichiro 5-1. The twin golds are Cuba's first of the games. In women's weightlifting, New Zealand's Laurel Hubbard became the first openly transgender athlete to compete at the Olympics. She ended the competition outside the medals. All eyes were on the 43-year-old veteran from New Zealand in the over 87-kilogram category. Hubbard was born male but changed her name 8 years ago and underwent hormone therapy to transition before resuming weightlifting. She became eligible to compete in the Olympics after 2015, when the IOC changed its guidelines about the inclusion of transgender athletes. She found success and won silver in the women's over 90-kilogram division at the 2017 World Championships. More than 160 LGBTQ athletes are participating in the Tokyo Games. Turning to the women's gymnastics, the Americans have snatched a top spot in the floor exercise final, underlining the team's deep pool of talent even without Simone Biles. The gold medal this time went to Jade Carey with a score of 14.366. U.S. Gymnastics says Biles will be back on Tuesday to compete on the balance beam. That'll be her last chance to take part in Tokyo. The multiple medalist from Rio had withdrawn from all finals, citing a need to focus on her mental health. Back on the floor, the host nation grabbed its first medal in women's gymnastics since the last time the Games were held in Tokyo in 1964. The bronze went to Murakami Mai, who tied with an athlete from the Russian Olympic Committee. Well, not every country makes headlines in the Tokyo Olympics, but athletes across the globe share the goal of giving their best performance. As NHK World's Takahashi Jun reports, an athlete from Pakistan is targeting a podium finish to make his country proud.
Arshad Nadeem is a javelin thrower with lofty ambitions. The 24-year-old is preparing for his first Olympics in Tokyo. Nadeem puts back and arm muscles he developed as a cricket bowler to good use hurling the javelin. He holds the South Asian Games record of 86.29 meters.
My preparation has been very good. I'm 100% hopeful. The rest depends on God's will.
Pakistan is far from an Olympic superpower. The country hasn't won a medal since Barcelona in 1992. The world's fifth most populous country sent a team of just 10 athletes to Tokyo. But Pakistanis are following the Olympics closely. Newspapers report on the games every day, and multiple TV stations broadcast the opening ceremony live. The Tokyo Olympics kicked off at a time when the coronavirus is spreading again in Pakistan. Nadeem and his teammates have taken great care to avoid infection. Nadeem says he's glad the Tokyo organizers decided to hold the games despite the pandemic. Now he's focused on winning a medal.
I appreciate the efforts of the Japanese organizers to stage the Games at such a crucial time regarding COVID-19. I'll do my best to bring home a medal for Pakistan. I'd be delighted to make the podium and herald the name of the country across the world.
Nadeem takes the field on Wednesday. People in Pakistan are paying close attention to how far the young athlete can go. Takahashi Jun, NHK World.
The International Olympic Committee has again called for all-out anti-infection measures as Japan's expanded coronavirus state of emergency came into effect on Monday. The declaration now includes Tokyo's 3 neighboring prefectures where some Olympic events will be held. The northern prefecture of Hokkaido is now under a quasi-state of emergency. Marathon and race walking events will be held there to avoid Tokyo's extreme heat. Organizers called on every athlete and official to do their utmost as the number of new infections continues to rise in Japan. Now, Hiroshima city officials say the IOC has declined its call for a moment of silence at the Tokyo Games on Friday, which is the anniversary of the world's first nuclear bombing of a city carried out by the U.S. in 1945. City officials said the request was not meant to disrupt any competitions, and it was a pity it was turned down. The head of the IOC, Thomas Bach, visited Hiroshima last month before the Games opened. Hiroshima authorities said the IOC explained the closing ceremony, scheduled for Sunday, includes a program commemorating people who lost their lives in harrowing historical events. The IOC reportedly said it wants to share the thoughts of the people of Hiroshima. It's time now for a check on the world weather. An unusual heat wave has been hitting northern Japan's Hokkaido since July. Our meteorologist Sayaka Mori has the details in our world weather report.
A heat wave is pounding Hokkaido, and we saw 31 degrees in Sapporo on Monday. The highs have been above 30 degrees for 13 days in a row. That's the longest in 97 years for the city. And Sapporo had the hottest July on record. The heat will continue to affect Sapporo. The high could be 34 on Tuesday. That's 7 degrees higher than average for this time of year. Some rain is in the forecast on Wednesday and Thursday, so temperature